And that'll allow attendees to start coming in. Cool. Let me take my terrible face out of there. All right, I'm going to hand you control, Nate. Thank you so much.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Sorry, I just opened it on Twitch and then suddenly I could hear myself in the whole echoey thing, and that's bad. So this is an interesting experience doing the sort of coffee clutch without actually being able to see anybody. But then I realized that I've been doing a live AMA on Twitch every week for about 3 months. Time has really no meaning anymore, but it's been about that long. So I think I can probably handle it. But if you have any questions or comments, please let me know, because I would love to hear it. So I am Mur. I am honored to be one of the guests of honor this year. Very sad I can't be there in person. I was really looking forward to the trip to Colorado, but unfortunately, it's not in the cards. And every time I think about something we've missed this year, I just keep trying to think, well, my husband's still employed. I'm still selling books. Nobody in our direct family has gotten COVID. One person who did recovered. It's trying to grab onto the little good things in life. When crap goes down, well, at least we have got those two things. And, as they say in Princess Bride, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So I am currently, I just sent it off to a military expert reader, working on another space murder mystery. I have been struggling with the title. I'm very bad with titles. So, yeah, it's gone all over the place. And a friend of mine who loves puns gave it a pun name, and nothing else has stuck. And when I've told people the pun name, they all love it. So it's the working title for now, and that's Mid-Solar Murders. A very well-meaning man told me that I should know that there is a British television show called Midsummer Murders, and Mid-Solar Murders sounded an awful lot like that, and I should be aware of that. And here's where we have the animated GIF of missing the point going over his head. But yeah, the working title is Mid-Solar Murders. It is a cross between Agatha Christie, no, not Agatha Christie, sorry, Murder, She Wrote, and Babylon 5, where I sort of hang a lantern on the fact that the woman around whom murders happen is sick of it, is sick of the fact that everybody treats her like a pariah, because who wants to be around who wants to be around Jessica Fletcher? Like, that's the one thing that never makes any sense in those stories. It's like, Jessica Fletcher comes to town, you need to get the hell out of town. And so I tried to take that to the logical conclusion of, how would you feel if you kept happening? And yeah, the murder rate is off the charts. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she gets a chance to sort of ask for sanctuary at an alien space station where there are no humans, and she takes it, hoping the murderers won't follow her. And it's not too much of a spoiler to say the murders do follow her. Otherwise, it's not really a murder mystery. It's the story of a woman who got away. No. So that's what I'm working on now. I've got something else in the works that I can't announce yet, but I'm looking forward to announcing. Yeah, it's been a slow year for many obvious reasons, but a lot of it was the rewrite of Mid-Solar Murders, and then just hanging on tight to the lifeboat and hoping it doesn't capsize. So, what else can I talk about? If y'all don't start asking questions, I'm going to talk about baseball. I'm sorry, but this is my new obsession, and I like it because it gives me something to care about and yell about and get angry about, and it doesn't matter at all. Because usually when I get angry at everything else happening in the world, it's followed by a huge sense of despair. And I've just realized that I can get angry about how the Hades Tigers are doing in baseball, and doesn't really matter. It's fun. It's very strange. If you don't know, baseball is a browser game where essentially we sit there and we watch random number generators create the stats of a baseball game in front of us. There's very little art. And it's like if you're, I guess it's the kind of stuff that comes through if you're a journalist trying to cover several baseball games at once. And so, right now we get All in Cash Money, batting for the Tigers, ball 1, ball 2, things like that. But every once in a while, strange things happen. Oh, All in Cash Money hits a solo home run. First, everybody's got a funny name. Not everybody, but many do. We have Jessica Telephone. We have Landry Violence. We have Wyatt Quitter. And so people got interested because of that. But then strange things started to happen, like how we deal with the baseball, like us, the people in the real world, is we get to bet fake money on the games and then take your winnings and vote on how to change the game. So every weekend we do the playoffs, and then we vote, and then the elections, we find out the election results on Sunday. And so the first week they decided to quote unquote open the forbidden book, which it's forbidden. So you don't know that. Yes, Jess, I have taught you all about it because I like it. It's fun to talk about. So yeah, the after they opened the forbidden book and learned that it's much more of a scary thing, it's become much more of a horror game where we've had players incinerated, had players get body modifications such as a cannon arm or extra thumbs. And right now we're in the playoffs, and the new thing is if you get 10 runs in a game, the black hole opens up and swallows all of your runs and you go back to 0. So I haven't been paying much attention this week. So I'm still a little confused still a little confused. Yeah, I loved doing Sansa Ball. I ran into a problem in that first I felt okay being if you don't know, I would live tweet the Durham Bulls baseball games as Sansa Stark. This was several years ago, but I did it as Sansa Stark as she is heading to I can't remember any of the places. King's Landing, is that what it is? Anyway, she's going to the castle, going to meet Joffrey, all in love, all happy. Knights are still glorious, honorable people. And so I had her watch the baseball game from that point of view. But, Sansa's situation changed. And I was unsure how spoilery to get, because there were people who hadn't read the books. It was before a lot of the stuff that happened with Sansa in the books had been discussed in the TV show. So I just kind of kept it to that first half of book 1, Sansa, and I kind of ran out of things to say. She could only naively look at a baseball game and hope for lemon cakes so many times. So doing Sansa Ball connected to baseball would be interesting. I guess the biggest thing would be, do I want to go into the spoilery part of A Song of Ice and Fire? And then again, George R.R. Martin kind of pissed me off at the Hugos, so I'm not sure I'd want to keep doing Sansa Ball because of that either. But Yeah, I had fun with Sansaball, having lots of fun with Blaseball. I did one specific video for Blaseball. And it was one of those things where I think I did it and got it out of my system because it was a lot of work. It was, and I taught myself a lot about Twitch while I did it. It was like a live news story. And I had fun doing it, but I didn't have a desire to do it anymore. But then I see all the people making amazing media out of Blaseball. There's a podcast called Take Me Out to the Ball Game. There's Blaseball News Network, which is having lots of people write up what's happening that week with different teams. There are several people doing Twitch live, just calling the games as if they're at the Blaseball game, live on Twitch. And I have that feeling of, I want to do something fun in this new media playground that I did when I started podcasting 16 years ago. But I'm not quite sure if there's a place for me right now, because I've got, a new project coming up, and I should be writing live on Twitch, and weekly AMA on Twitch, and gaming on Twitch. So I don't know if there's a place for Blaseball for me, and that makes me sad, but at least it makes me feel a little bit grown up in that I can figure out my own limitations, but I still want to do it. So I got to figure out where ambition is compared to too much. I hate finding that line because it just seems very strange that if you don't go after something, either you're being smart and doing self-care, or you're being lazy and unambitious. And it's hard to tell when it's which one. That's not a good sentence, but hopefully you know what I mean. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy talking about it a lot. So maybe I'll just do that. I don't know. It's a place that fun things happen, and I don't have to get super angry about it. Although when there aren't a lot of blessings also change the game, give you arm cannons and stuff. That made me angry. But then the squid god showed up and ate the peanut god, and that was fun. So sometimes I feel like talking about Blaseball is doing Mad Libs, and just because some people just look at you like, what are you just picking nouns out, aren't you? You're just coming up with nouns. There's Oliver Not a Robot is batting, and Durham Spaceman is pitching. That wouldn't happen. They're on the same team. I'm just picking out names at random. And there's Jessica Telephone and her brother, I think Sebastian Telephone. So yeah, it's just fun to talk about. It sounds entertaining and so random. Yes, it is all of that things. It's laceball.com, and I don't get any money for saying that. Where did the idea of Six Ways come from, and how did you develop the mystery with regard to plot? That's a good question. It's hard to say. I had, there's a lot of generational starship books out there about people who forget through the generations that they're on a starship or forget where they're going. And I thought, well, what if we had a crew that couldn't die and they were the same crew the whole way? And I toyed around with the idea of elves or vampires or other long-lived fantasy people and thought, no, I don't like that. And then I was playing the game FTL, which is faster than light. It's just a starship simulator. And one of the things you can put on your ship is a cloning capsule. It's only used when someone dies. It's not used to replicate somebody and fill your ship up with people. And I thought, have I ever seen cloning used that way before? And I'm sure someone has done it, but I couldn't think of anybody who had. So I figured I would do clones that cloned themselves every time they died, so they could just keep going. And then from there, it's, well, what could go wrong? And I'm not really sure where the idea of killing all of them came from. That was it. I don't remember that part. But after the book sold and my editor had me change a couple of things to make it more murder mystery, I panicked because I'd never written a murder mystery before. And I wasn't a huge reader of them either. So I started reading Agatha Christie one after the other just to get a sense of how she put story together. So with regard to making sure everybody has means and a motive for the murder, and yeah, that was the big thing. First couple of drafts had some very obvious suspects, and other people were not so obvious. So got to make sure everybody's got a reason. I saw your panel earlier on writing the good fight scenes. I was wondering, have you done martial arts? Yes, I studied Kung Fu and Tai Chi. And let's see, my Kung Fu school did incorporate Arnis with Kung Fu. I think he had specific Arnis classes as well. That's a Filipino stick fighting, but he put some of it into our Kung Fu school teachings. I did it for a couple of years. It was strange. After I took time off to have my daughter, I've never been an aggressive person at all, ever. But I felt that whatever little bit of aggression I could tap into was gone after I had a kid. And I'm not even saying it was like the blush of motherhood or anything. It was like I just had trouble getting in there and getting in the sense that I had to punch somebody. And where I excelled was defensive. I was good at throwing people. I was good at blocking, but I loved it. I really did. It was a very nice feeling. Everybody my whole life telling me I'm so small and cute, and learning that I could still hurt somebody if I was small and cute was a good feeling. But I wished I could have kept up with it. I just wasn't enjoying it so much. I don't know if it's a hormonal thing, or maybe I was just too tired from having a baby. But I stopped doing it, and they stopped doing specific solo Tai Chi classes, so I couldn't keep going with that. So yeah, I loved doing Kung Fu, I really did, but and learned a lot. Have you ever written yourself into a corner, and how did you get out? I don't know. I don't know if I can call it specifically writing myself into a corner, but where I've run into things is when editors tell me, it's happened actually twice. Editors tell me that the characters are not needed. Either I haven't built them up enough, or they're not making any difference to the plot. And so I had to write them out, and I had to figure out how to remove these people, keep or modify whatever they did add to the plot, and see if that changed anybody else's motives for murder. That was really tough. But often, I actually talked about this on a podcast a couple of days ago. I called it you got to find the sliding doors moment. If you saw that Gwyneth Paltrow movie where she's running for a subway and she makes it through the doors as they're closing, and then, like, alternate universe, Gwyneth does not make it and the doors close on her. So she goes off. I don't even remember the plot. I just remember how it began and how it ended. But she goes off and does her own thing. Well, the Gwyneth on the subway goes off and does her own thing. And the stories really diverge. And so I say, when you write yourself into a corner, all you've done is you've been like Thomas Edison and found a way not to make a light bulb. And that is useful information to have. So you write yourself into a corner and then you figure out why it's not working and where there was a choice either you or a character made back that you can decide to take in another direction. Maybe you'll have to go back far, maybe you won't have to go back too far, but just try to find that sliding doors moment where going in the direction you went in did not work. And it takes a little bit of self-awareness, but it's possible. Run, Lola, Run. I don't know. I think I've seen that, but I remember very little from it. Yeah, I think I have seen it, but some movies just stick in my head forever, and some, even if I like them, do not, which is weird. Terry Pratchett books don't stick in my head. I love them as I'm reading them, but then they don't, they just kind of fly away once I'm done reading them. I do not know what about his wonderful writing style is like slippery in my head. Oh, Run Lola Run has 3 different departures. That's awesome. Oh, hey, Travis. Remembering me, yeah, age is part of it. That's fun. Which is nice because then you can watch old movies and be surprised again. Although sometimes as I'm watching something, I can be like, oh, right, I've seen this, and then remember it as it's happening. When I was 20, I remembered everything I saw. Today, a friend asked me what the last 3 movies I saw in a theater were, and I couldn't remember any of them until some people started mentioning the movies that came out last year. And I'm like, oh, that's right. The last one was probably Star Wars. And I saw The Lighthouse, and I'm not sure if I saw one in between there. The Lighthouse. That's one I'd like to forget. That was a weird movie. Have a hard time remembering the details of Pratchett's books too. Something about his writing style. Maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, again, it's delightful, but it does go off and like not even the plot, but just like the asides and the footnotes and the clever little things here and there. It's like the phrase "kitten in a room full of butterflies." That's kind of what it feels like to read one of his books. It's like here and there, and last theater film was Knives Out. I guess that wasn't what was that in the fall? I did see that in the theater. That was good. The plot that I have the hardest time remembering, some of the jokes and other details stick with me pretty well. A lot of his plots are surprisingly complex for the length of his stories and for how many jokes he does fit in there. So that could be it. It's a fully enjoyable ride, but it's a little hard to hold on to. I recently re-listened to Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency by Douglas Adams, and when I first heard that book or read it, I thought, this is the too many dancing tacos thing. A writing teacher of mine coined that term when she's like, she was at I can't even remember the beginnings, damn it. She was at a birthday party with her daughter, and people were putting on clothing, like costumes, and the phrase "that's too many dancing tacos" came up just because it's like, how many weird original things are you going to put in your story? And Dirk Gently has ghosts and a time machine and murder. I think that's it. And aliens, technically. And I thought I had too many dancing tacos, but I think now that I just listened to him reading it again, and yeah, I think it works now, but there's a whole lot going on, especially if you don't know what's going on. Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul had the one with the god in the refrigerator. Whose writing sticks with me? Oh. Gosh. See, again with the memory, it's like I can't remember several people I've recently read. Interestingly enough, Agatha Christie doesn't. Like a lot of times I'll remember like, oh, that's the one where someone died with grain in his pocket, and I don't remember who the actual murderer was. Um, Probably Neil Gaiman and Connie Willis. Their writing sticks with me. I can say Anne McCaffrey's books. But I read Anne McCaffrey when I was a teenager, and those books, the books you read when you're a teenager just kind of sink into the gray matter and don't leave. Yeah, the plot of Dirk Gently, it does go all over the place. It does. There's a senseless murder, and then you find out through the murdered guy that ghosts exist. Oh, and hypnotism. Yeah, it's got that too. So murder and ghosts and time machines. And the ghost is looking for a time machine. Yeah. Some books feel more like ambiance than plot. Lots of Pratchett is definitely that. That's a good point. Although I do try to read Hogfather every year. That probably had too many dancing tacos too, but I still enjoyed it. Like the whole lavatory scene, the private lavatory it's a funny joke, but that was a darling that probably could have been killed because it really did not matter. But it was funny. What if all the surreal things were real? Yeah. And Dirk Gently, that's how he kind of approaches things. What if everything was surreal? That was surreal is real. The Tigers won their game, by the way, over the Sunbeams, the Hellmouth Sunbeams. Even though they're allies, they still gotta fight. Any tricks to getting yourself to sit down and write every day? There are a couple of tricks. One is try to make it a routine, a habit, same time. And I know that's not possible for everybody, but it's not possible for everybody to write every day. So if you can't do it, then that's fine. But there's the habit forming. There's the reward thing. Now, I used to think that like big rewards were good. Like I'll buy myself another Star Wars Lego set once I finish this book. But then I found out that actually small rewards are motivational because you can see them mount up like stickers. Keep track or draw or cross something off or very tiny things that still give your brain a dopamine hit of, oh, job well done, yay me. But you don't have that sense of if you miss a day, it's not a terrible thing. Did I just lose my, oh no, okay. So yeah, if you miss a day, it's not that awful, but the little rewards are surprisingly useful. Gosh, I don't know, because I'm not very good at it either. So I feel, there's a lot of advice like get up earlier in the morning or go to bed later, but really it has to do with looking at how you spend your time now and seeing what you can give up, because you're probably spending your time, movies, games, binge watching, whatever, more than you'd like to admit. And by you, I mean me. And if you can cut some time out of that and you can prioritize and say, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch TV now. Am I choosing to watch TV over writing, or am I watching TV because it's my habit? You remember that everything you do is a choice, whether you consciously make it or not. So that's something to take into account. You can sit down and watch TV. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you make it a conscious choice, then that might change your priorities a little bit. I was going to have one more thing. I forgot what it was. Yeah, I don't know. See if NaNoWriMo is influential to you. Some people it excites, and you're doing the same thing as a whole bunch of people around the world, and uh, sometimes that helps. Sometimes I don't sit down because I don't know where the story is going or should go. Oh, you need to sit down anyway. Um, your You can kick your brain into actually doing its job. It's just really hard to sit down when you don't know where you're going. But if you sit down and think, what I like to do is sort of write like I'm talking about the scene. Like I will literally write the following words. Okay, so we've got this guy in this position, and he needs to be over here doing this. And the way I'm going to get him over here is, I guess I need to bring something into the scene. Like I'm talking about it, but I write it, and that starts to sort of get rid of the rusty gears kind of feeling. Um, that works for me. A big part of this year is me trying to remember to trust myself, that I've done this before, and if I just sit down, I can probably get things moving again. Even if I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to write, I can at least it's almost like going back into journaling instead of writing the plot, but you are writing about the plot, and that helps. Yeah, put the stuff of me talking to myself about story in brackets. That's smart. Did you have a time when you were an amateur writer, one that doesn't write every day for a living? Do you feel it's important to be professional, write every day? No, I don't write every day now. I hit my deadlines. That's the important thing. Writing every day, there's a lot of beginning early career writing advice that is designed to make you understand priorities, understand the importance of deadline, and get you to do the job. That when you feel confident that you can finish the book, then you should be able to put aside the habits that aren't quite working for you. I know several writers who don't write every day, but then when they get inspired, and these are pros who have deadlines to hit, so it's not like just sitting around waiting for inspiration, but knowing that they need to work on something that weekend, they're they can sit down and write 15,000 words that weekend. I'm physically incapable of doing that. I don't know how their hands are still healthy, or if their hands are still healthy, but I would not be able to do that. But a lot of people write when it fits them, because there's a lot of people out there who can't write every day. And I think if we tell them that writing every day is the only way to be a pro, you're saying, oh, you new parent, you can't be a pro. Or you with chronic fatigue syndrome, you can't be a pro, because they will be incapable at this time, probably, of writing every day. And writing every day is a good habit to get into. And then when you know that you can do it, you can put it aside if you need to. Yes, hence the quotes. Yeah. It's yeah, not I don't like any writing advice to be absolute, even the stuff that I say on my podcast. I'm just not comfortable with that. Um the most important thing is starting the story and finishing it, and either submitting it if you want to send it to an editor, or cleaning it up and self-publishing it on your blog, on your podcast, on Amazon or Kobo or iTunes or whatever. It's not iTunes, it's iBooks, right? Anyway. So yeah, starting and finishing, that's the biggest thing. How you get there is all on you. And if you need some basic advice, then, there's lots of basic advice out there that you can try to follow. It was helpful to me on the Writing Excuses podcast when Dan Wells talked about sometimes giving himself lump days where he has permission to just be a lump and not get anything done. Yes. Yeah, I like Dan Wells a lot. He's a good guy. And yeah, giving yourself like the whole day off thing is really, really hard for me, especially working, being a freelancer. You feel like, oh, there's no days I can take off. But you need to. And it's like if I wake up and I think I gotta write today and my brain's just not in it. And I spend the whole day thinking I gotta write today. And at some point near the end of the day, I think I didn't write today. I'm a loser. I'm terrible. I'm an awful writer. My career's gonna tank, blah, 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 blah. But if I'd woken up and thought, I need to take today off, then I would do the exact same amount of work, but I would feel so much better at the end of the day. So yeah, those lump days are important. It's, for self-care. I'm about to take a vacation, which is really weird because, we had some trips planned, we're doing the whole empty nest thing, and we had a couple of things planned for this year and none of them have happened. So, I told my husband last night, I thought it's a weird thing when you think you're looking forward to a vacation so you can do the work you really want to do. So, I don't have to do email, I don't have to do admin, I don't have to do podcasts or streaming, but I'm probably going to get some writing done because that's the thing I love to do. The magic loss. I'm so sorry, Dave. I am not connected to the magic very much. I don't know I don't know hardly any of the players. Wow. I think I remember Chorby Short because Chorby is a fun name. Players with Oh No Blood cannot be struck out when there are 0 balls in the count. Wow, that's pretty awesome. So I'm sorry about your loss. You've got one more game, right? Looks like it. Anyway, I recently had a data loss. I lost half a book I was working on. Have you ever had a similar experience? How would you recover? Yeah. First up, before you do anything else, get yourself a backup system. There are several. I covered this on a recent podcast. You can look at my site on murverse.com or look it up on Twitch or YouTube. I should be writing because I'm very adamant about backups. Currently, I have an external hard drive, and I have 2 remote backups. I have Backblaze, and I have the Google OneDrive that's constantly uploading my stuff. And Scrivener saves to Dropbox automatically. So I have that. I'm very, very, very passionate about backups. So before you do anything else, get yourself a backup system. Secondly, when somebody loses a job and then months later they say, it was the best thing that happened to me because I was very unhappy and then I looked for a new job and now I have a new job and I'm so much happier. That's not what always happens, but you hear about it a lot, right? But that person did not feel good to be laid off. Almost everybody I've heard who has lost writing and has tried to rewrite what they lost out of memory, it's pretty much like a second draft and ends up stronger than the one you lost. So, yeah, it sucks. You're going to have to do more work, but your brain's pretty much going to approach it like a second draft. And it's probably going to be stronger than the work you lost. So, more work, but I wouldn't worry about the story itself because I'm pretty, like I say, you hear it all the time. People say that I lost it, but I didn't know, what ended up, what I ended up getting was better. Yeah, I remember when my daughter was a toddler, I was writing and she came over and banged her hand on my laptop. And whatever she did closed down Word and there was no backups. And I was angry. And then, so I stopped writing and then there was the holidays. And so basically several weeks later, I picked it back up and I'd ended the scene before with someone showing up at the door, and it's supposed to be somebody alarming. It's a switch in the story, you know, a change of direction. I couldn't remember who was at the door. I still can't remember who was at the door. I'm hoping that the person I chose to be at the door took the story in the right direction, in a good direction. But I remember I was like, someone knocked at the door, and then she came over and closed down Word with her magical slap of toddlerdom. And yeah, I had to figure that out. Um, do I write short stories or read them? If so, does it help my novel writing? I'm actually co-editor of escapepod.org. So yeah, I read a lot of short stories. I write them sometimes. I've never had a whole lot of luck writing short stories and selling them, but I think they help with novel writing in that it teaches you how to tell a story from beginning to end. You just got to know that the same structure applies to novel writing, just with a lot more filled in and a lot more conflicts and resolutions. And you know, one thing good about writing short stories is you get the fulfilling sense of I've started and finished a project. Whereas with a novel, it takes a lot longer to get to that satisfaction. So you start a story, you finish a story, you're like, yay, I wrote a story, and then you can do another one, and then you get that feeling of I know how to do this. There's some advice about backups in the chat. Been there with having to rewrite parts of a draft. Use OwnCloud. My vacation is 7 months long now, so I've written a lot of things I wanted to write. I'm so sorry, Dave. Have you written any more things about Blaseball? I enjoyed the last thing you wrote, or the last thing I know you wrote. No, there's no dumb question. What was a dumb question? There's no dumb questions. So, yeah, being a writer, not easy, but I think it's worth it. But then again, I'm delusional. I don't know. What else would you guys like to talk about? Lasers. Lasers. Okay, so don't shine them in people's eyes. And sometimes they can burn you, depending on how strong they are. That's all I got. Also, sometimes it's fun when they come out of blasters, if you're at the right side of the blaster. Any tips for sparking creativity and ideas? Sit down at the computer and write. One thing that your brain's a jerk and will want to do is once you get well into a project, I don't know if it happens with short stories, but I know it happens around the 15 to 30,000 word mark in a novel. You will end up hating it, and your brain will go, no, this is boring. Let's do something else. And it will give you a new idea. And a lot of beginning writers think, oh, well, clearly I'm on the wrong path. I got this awesome new idea. I should trunk this and go play with the awesome new idea, without realizing that the awesome new idea is going to do the same thing to you, because this whole malaise, questioning whether the book is good enough or not, etc., it happens to a lot of people. I won't say all of them. Maybe it doesn't happen to all of them, but it happens to a lot of people. So I think the best thing to be creative is to force yourself to be creative. Just sit down and start working, and I kind of see it as like a engine going. It's hard to start sometimes, but once it starts going, it's going to keep going. And since your brain's being a jerk and it gives you that shiny new idea, it doesn't mean that idea is a bad one. So write that idea down somewhere and say, hey, I'm going to get back to you after I'm done with this project. So, yeah, I sort of see it as an idea machine. You just got to get it going and keep feeding it. Also, and everybody hates this answer, I hate this answer, but it's the truth, is to let yourself be bored. Get rid of everything that stimulates you consumption wise. Not get rid of, but put aside your phone, your tablet, your TV, your games, even maybe books for an afternoon, and let yourself be bored. And your brain will work very hard to entertain itself. That's why a lot of people get ideas in the shower or when driving, because the conscious mind is not really doing much, because what you're doing is probably a habit that you've done over and over and over and over again. So conscious mind can just check out, and the unconscious mind starts coming up with stuff. So you got to let yourself be bored and write, even if you don't have an idea, because something will come out of it. In other words, close down Reddit. Exactly. My podcast is called I Should Be Writing. It is 15 years old as of August, and pretty much searchable in any podcast provider. I also have a podcast called Ditch Diggers. I Should Be Writing is much more about being a beginning writer and handling all the things that get in your way, most of which is your own brain. Ditch Diggers I do with my friend Matt Wallace, who is another writer, and we mainly focus on business. So how to get an agent, how to fire an agent, how to be on social media, the various things that affect your career without being lawyers or agents ourselves. Just that caveat. What are other ways our brains can be jerks? Well, I am not a doctor, but I can say from experience that pretty much anything you think about yourself when you're depressed, that's your brain being a jerk. So, or anxiety, but I don't have anxiety, so I'm not going to fully speak on that, but it seems pretty logical that the things I think when I'm depressed are probably things that come up when other people are anxious. They're just a lot more energetic about it. Not in a good way, but 15 years is surreal. Tell me about it. I know. I had one of my favorite streamers was talking about how awful 2020 was, and I agree. But I said, look, I found you and one other streamer and got entertained, and then I got excited because it let me breathe life into a kind of tired 15-year-old podcast. So that was, sorry, I just remembered something, got to write it down. Sorry. I'll be doing a daily NaNoWriMo podcast on the feed for I Should Be Writing. They're going to be reruns, but it's likely you haven't heard them. So, yeah, I'm just writing down that I need to kind of schedule that because I'm going on vacation. Being able to step back from your own thinking is a really valuable skill. Yeah, just write it down somewhere you can see it. It's like depression lies, anxiety lies. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but speaking as somebody just speaking from experience, that's what I've discovered. It's rough, but there's reality and there's how your brain chooses to see reality. And sometimes it's not the same thing. Writer's job is not to decide whether the story is good, it's to write. Making decisions is the around fit, and the rest is the editor's job. Yes, indeed. My handwriting's terrible. So yeah, my podcast is I Should Be Writing and Ditch Diggers. If you're interested in my books, I know that I signed a whole bunch of book plates. So if you want physical books, you can order them and they'll be mostly signed. I don't know how people feel about book plates in books that the author has signed, but maybe they didn't touch the book. I don't know how that is on a collectible level. I'm just curious. But I can't be there to sign the books, unfortunately. So next best thing. Thank you, MileHiCon, for sending me the book plates. Why are they called book plates? It always makes it sound like it's a copper plating of some kind, and I don't want to put that in my book. Anxiety is a fear that would occupy too much mind space to think about all at once. I'm not sure I follow everything in that. But I also have ADHD, I diagnosed as an adult, and there's a ADHD podcast, or yeah, VOD. I don't know what the kids are calling it these days. YouTube video by a woman who's does really good interviews and stuff talking about how to deal with it. Oh, good question, Sam. Is there a perfect or better length for short stories with regard to being more publishable in a contemporary market? Yes. Stories are paid by the word. So ideally, you might think, I will write a 6,500 word short story. But that's really expensive to small magazine markets, to the large magazine markets. So, like if I have two stories in front of me and they're equally good, not that we grade on a scale or anything, but if I like them equally, I'm probably going to buy the shorter one because that will leave me more money to buy stories next month. So the sweet spot I've found is about 4,000 to 5,000 words. It can get you hooked. It can build something for you. It can let you enjoy the whole story and then give you a satisfying ending. And there's no draggy parts and there's no parts that feel rushed. So that would be the sweet spot, in my opinion. Illustrations in books used to be referred to as plates. Oh, I see. Yes, that's where the book plates come from. Okay, thank you. I recently started talking to my doctor about ADHD or ADD, and I'm 52. Yeah, I never showed the classic signs as a kid. I wasn't hyperactive, but focus is a problem. Time management is a huge problem for me. Estimating how long something's going to take, all that stuff. I'm terrible at it. Does a story in the 3,000 word range come off too short? Can stories be too short and then they will not use enough space? Yes, some stories need to be longer. But I am one of the rare writers who often writes too short. I have a description problem in that I don't do it very much. And when I was getting my MFA, the most common negative comment on my work was, why am I in a white room? Why are these characters in a white room just talking? And I'm like, oh, you want me to describe the room? Okay. So I am someone who benefits from writing, putting more words in, but most people's weaknesses come in writing too long. Like a lot of beginning epic fantasy writers will write books that rival like Martin's or Melanie Ron's, but you can't ask your publisher to spend that much money to publish a book when you're untested. Unless, of course, you're Brandon Sanderson. I think he pulled it off, but I believe he was an exception. So you want... Oh, yeah, ADD is different from ADHD. You can have attention deficit without being hyperactive. Okay. But yeah, stories can be too short, but they can also be too long, and that happens a lot more often. Sometimes people's stories will be too short when you can tell they're really eager to finish it and the ending feels rushed. So But I see stories that are too long way more than I see stories that are too short. I feel that the market for flash fiction is growing. I don't know. I don't really keep up with the market very much. Yeah, I don't know who out there is specifically writing or buying flash fiction. Probably sells to daily science fiction better. Like I sold a short story to them once, and it was flash. I haven't talked to Norm Sherman in forever and don't know if the Drabblecast is still going on, but I know they bought short stories, I believe, very short flash and Drabbles. I'm not sure, but yeah, there are lots of places out there that have magazine reports. Like I said, I haven't written a lot of short fiction, so I haven't paid too much attention to the wider short fiction markets, aside from like the big ones that of the editors I meet at cons, like Clark's World and Asimov's and stuff. Well, I am running low on time here. Is there anything people want to ask before we're done? Really appreciate all of the interaction and questions to help keep me going. I can talk into a mic for an hour, but it's better to have guidance because then I'll just get into commiserating with Dave about Blaseball. What is my office like while I write? It's very messy. I'm a messy person. I'm actually having ergonomic problems right now, and I've made a little, of course you can't see where I am, but I moved my recording stuff into the guest room after my daughter went to school, because this used to be her craft room. And since my husband's at home working, obviously, in sharing the office, I can't record with him in there. And I kind of get settled in here and I want to write in here, but this is a piece of shit desk and there's no ergonomics here whatsoever. So I know I should not write in here, else will regret it greatly. So I have a desk. I have a really interesting folded piece of cardboard standing desk that just is a big complex piece of cardboard you put on your desk, and it's got a tray for your keyboard and you put your monitor or your laptop up top. And so I managed to try to go from standing to sitting as much as I can. And right there, sometimes I prefer to be kinder to my lower back and meaner to my upper back and write on the couch with my laptop. That's the most comfortable, but bad in the long run because it gives me a headache. But I listen to music, usually movie soundtracks. I don't like a whole lot with words because it distracts me. Since getting into playing the violin, I've been listening to a lot of Tartini because the devil came to him in a dream and gave him music. And so he wrote the Devil's Trill. And I did not know how many violin composers have stories that would fit very well into a fantasy or horror story. Everyone thought that Paganini had a deal with the devil going because he had such long fingers. So that's a little bit of a tangent there, wasn't it? So yeah, I listened to some violin stuff and soundtracks, usually Matrix, all 3 movies, and Mad Max, definitely. I can listen to Mad Max every single day. NaNoWriMo Blaseball. I like those nouns, Dave, but I don't know exactly what you mean. Tell me quick, because we're running out of time. Any tips for Nano? I got a ton of tips for Nano. I say first take the next week and write 1,000 words a day, because that will get you in shape to write more than 1,000 words a day come November. Let everybody in your house know you're doing this, because your schedule, if you want to actually succeed, your schedule is probably going to change, and they need to know that when you're writing, you can't be available for other things. And plan, if you have a addiction to your phone, and who doesn't, plan to put that away for a little while. If you are inspired by community, go check out the forums, see if your local area has NaNoWriMo chapters. If you are distracted by that kind of thing, do not do those. Oh, a magic novel. The idea is about 2 minutes old. Okay, well, tell me more when you got it, Dave. And be aggressive when they try to interrupt your writing anyway. Yeah, again, I can plug my podcast, not too obviously, but since I did do several NaNoWriMo prepare episodes recently. Again, that's murverse.com. I'm on YouTube, Mighty Mur, Twitch, Mighty Mur. And so you can see the videos or listen to the audio via my podcast, and talk a lot about preparing for NaNoWriMo, what things come up. And to be absolutely honest, I've never won, which makes me feel a little bad. But then again, I know I can finish a book, so it's not that awful. But thank you guys so much for making this hour very entertaining and fun. And I hope you have fun at whatever other panels you've got going on. Take care.